Championship makes its only trip north of the border to Toronto, Ontario, Canada. You know, in Monster Energy Supercross, there are no champions provisionals, no lucky dog awards, no promoter options, and no push-to-pass buttons either. Here, you earn everything you get. As Ryan Villapoto and James Stewart found out last week, it doesn't matter if you're the points leader or a two-time champion. You don't perform, you go home. If you want to win the Monster Energy AMA Supercross and FIM World Championship, you got to bring your A game every time you come to the line. The quest for this highly coveted title continues tonight from Toronto as we drop the gate on Heat 1. Ryan Dungey gets the whole shot. Trey Kennard goes banging into the top blocks.
I tell you, this is just what the reigning champion needs here tonight. He was fantastic in qualifying practice, fires out of the gate. Now we'll see what sort of lap times he can lay down.
Dungey still with no main event wins this season. His last main event win coming at Las Vegas at the season finale a year ago, May of 2010. Too long of a drought if you're carrying down number one.
You got that right, but it's all a learning curve, Ralph. Trey Kennard, who's in second there, 41. He was your second fastest qualifier with a 52.9. Dungey was at a 53.3, so Trey was just a little quicker. See how this heat race shakes up. You can see how this soil, these rocks are starting to come up, and this track's going to be difficult tonight because it's going to change as the night goes on.
Kevin Windham holding down third. Chris Close on the Huntington entry, riding in fourth, having a very good heat race just in front of Nick Webb. Kennard, a two-time winner this year, picking up his second win last weekend in Jacksonville, Florida.
Well, we all remember how close that was in Houston when he got his first Supercross win this season. Dungey was no less than a wheel behind him at the finish.
Dungey with 4 heat race wins this year, and Kennard with 1 coming into tonight.
Let's watch through the whoops here, Ralph. Kennard was really clean last time around. See, he enters it on the rider's right. Everybody else kind of fading to the left. You know Kennard, I mean, you can see all those rocks out there in the soil. He is really taking a pounding. You notice he's got some hand guards on. So does Dungey. That's to protect your hand, knuckles, wrist area from all the roost that's coming up from these 450 four-stroke machines here.
A lot of riders wearing chest protectors tonight as well, Jeff.
I would be, no doubt about it. But the best thing to do on a night like tonight is grab the whole shot. That way you don't have to deal with anyone's roost. But I tell you, Dungey, he's having to deal with the 41 right now because he was really applying the pressure. Things are starting to heat up here north of the border.
And in this traffic, Kennard having an issue. And very slick, but doesn't really lose any ground.
He's right there on him.
Two factory motorcycles going at it here. The 41, the Honda. That's Trey Kennard. The American Honda factory rider has the lead for a brief moment. That is some rock star Makita Suzuki, the factory yellow machine of the champion from a year ago, Ryan Dungey, who takes the lead back.
Kennard, another little mistake there in the sand. He's really loose. He's extremely fast, confident. But I like seeing Trey ride like this. I mean, earlier today in qualifying, I mean, he was throwing down some whips and stuff over the triple. It was just insane.
And Windham just plugging along, holding down third. The seasoned veteran, a solid transfer spot right into the main. If he can hang on, we're halfway through this heat.
Well, this is again one of those tracks here where Windham, Mike's setup, his riding style really lends itself to having a good race.
Behind him, and you see Windham again. Look at Kevin get through that whoop section, and here comes the Hart and Huntington entry, the 39, it blows. And then it's a Jokins Racing Yamaha of J.D. Millsaps. Muscle Milk Toyota back number 18.
Millsaps looked great in practice. Qualified 8th here today, but I tell you, his flow and just his comfort level, you know, lends itself to a better ride than an 8th place finish at the main event, I can tell you that. Followed by Nick Way there, 27.
Way holds down 6th place. transfer straight to Major. Jeff Brown, that's a final transfer spot for now. As we watch this battle continuing here over fourth place. And Blows gives it up to Millsaps.
Millsaps just sneaks on the inside there. There's a couple of spots here. Now we're seeing how this track's going to race. There's a couple of spots where to ride the fast line, you have to go wide on the entrance to the turn. It really leaves the door open here. And this at the end of the whoops is one of those sections. So that was Cole Seeley, factory Honda.
And now they start to apply that pressure to Blows. Fighting for fifth now between three riders.
Look at that sand, Ralph. I mean, you've got your heart rate up, so you really do have your mouth open, trying to breathe, get as much air into your lungs as you can. And you go through the sand section with a mouthful of sand. So difficult.
Nick Way on the number 27. Valley Motorsports Yamaha.
Strong run here for NYK, I tell you. As he misses the triple there, I was surprised that Seeley didn't take advantage of that triple to the inside, make it pass just like Millsaps did.
Oh, Millsaps sees that rear end starting to dance around a little bit as he goes through the whoops. Then we watch the battle with the 38 of Blows, the 27 of Way, and then behind them the 36 of Seeley.
So Seeley making an extra move there to go to the outside, and look at how much time he loses there in your bottom right just by trying a new line.
Later at the top of the screen with just a second between him and his challenger, Trey Canard.
I'll tell you, our two leaders here have laid down some pretty hot laps in this heat race. Dungey's fast was a 52.7. Canard a 52.70. So both riders really on par with the fastest qualifying time today with James Stewart at a 51.8. We'll see him in just a little bit.
Nothing changing in the battle for fifth.
See, Way's got the drive on the outside, but he's came in a little hot. He's going to have to square him up, but Seeley's going to be right there.
Gross doesn't give him any opportunity, and Seeley can't capitalize.
Yeah, see, what Way needs to do is next lap around, he needs to get to the inside there.
Oh, look at this! Canard over the finish line, just one to go. Gets in front of Dungey. So now, can the reigning champ respond?
That'll wake you up right there. Just when you thought everything was comfortable up front. Watch this. Canard triples to the inside. Like I said, some of those lines leave you open. Doesn't go into hammering, but he just executes the corner better. He stands Dungey up a little bit. And just, man, he was flying.
Dungey trying to come back. Can't find any speed yet to close the gap.
He's close, though. Just a couple turns left. We'll see if Dungey can make the same move.
He's looking inside there. A little bit of a bobble. That gives even more ground to Canard. And Trey Canard takes a checkered flag win here in heat number one. His second heat race victory of the season. We're coming back. Heat two's already headed to the gate in Toronto. The floor of the Rogers Center is covered with over 550 truckloads of dirt. Next week, they're going to open up Toronto Blue Jays Major League Baseball season in here. Car Warrior guys are going to go to work on a 66 Mustang this week. You can see it on Speed Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Fans having a lot of fun. That fan hoping Trey Canard has a good night. Well, let's show you how things went in heat number two. Here's the highlights with James Stewart in this one.
Well, and as the gate drops, it's going to be the 43 of Weston Pike that's having the good night as he steals the whole shot and takes the lead. Stewart buried mid-pack.
Andrew Short had problems with the 29 KTM and the factory bike going to the LCQ.
Tough night there in the heat race, but Stewart works his way past Pike, just blitzes into the lead, followed by Chad Reed in third.
Well, Villapoto had big issues last week in Jacksonville, and the troubles continue here in Toronto.
Yeah, he is just, things have just not been on the rail, and they weren't for Chad Reed either as he gets wide in the whoops and goes down.
Checker flag goes to James Stewart. He wins heat two and goes to the main event. Here's a look at the rest of the riders. Villapoto, incredibly, fights back through to get a transfer spot in third. James signed some autographs, but he had a rough week in Jacksonville. We'll talk about it when we come back. There you see Trey Kennard, last week's winner, a two-time winner this year. And now, Jeff, let's take a look at your RockyMountainMC.com keys to the race.
Well, the interesting thing is going to be to see if James Stewart and that injured back of his, physically, if he can manage 20 laps. We've seen him have a fantastic heat race. His speed is there, everything that we have come to know. But for everyone else, including James, you got to limit the mistakes. As the track changes tonight, the rocks start to come up, and this track gets really difficult.
For Progressive pre-race support, here's Aaron.
Well, you guys, we've seen a lot of the riders having chest protectors and also hand guards to protect themselves from all of these rocks, but let's talk a little bit about the tire selection for tonight. A lot of the guys are using more of a hard pack tire in the front and intermediate tire on the back to provide any additional traction, which means there's longer knobbies on them. But the guys that are going for the championship right now, there's a handful of them that have moose in that back tire. Precautionary measures, they cannot afford to pop any tires with all these rocks tonight.
Well, and what a moose is, we take a look at this Toyota track map here. It's a foam tube rather than an inner tube filled with air. So, we're back on the track here. We've seen some rhythm sections. You notice that that's going to get a little bit tricky. Here, you go over this first triple. Going to have to triple in here. I think this off camber, the inside line's starting to get dug in there, and it could be fast late in the main event. Going to cut back across the start. It's going to be really tough to get traction right through there. Into the whoop section, which I'm not sure, but I think the right side, if you can enter going down through there. But let's go on board. Weston Pike, this is the whole shot in heat number 2. This is what it looks like to lead an AMA Supercross FIM World Championship heat race. It's that rhythm section. I think this is going to be really difficult. It's going to change through here. And what a great feeling it is as you nail the first triple here, and nobody is in front of you. You're collecting no roost.
That's our GoPro on board, and now we get ready for the main event. There you see Michael Lessie on the 800, the factory KTM. His Supercross, Diana Dahlgren has the 32nd board. Ryan Villapoto's ready to go. Chad Reed, the first two-time winner here in Toronto, in the number 22, ready to go. James Stewart, can he rebound for that vicious crash a week ago in Jacksonville? And get a win. Nick Wade's alongside him on the 27. There's Andrew Short on the 29. Here we go. The only race this year from Canada set to go on speed. Cowboys hole shot. How about Fabian Iswa on the factory Kawasaki with the hole shot as tough blocks kicked into the way. Ryan Dungey runs in second. Looks like Nick Way in third and Chad Reed in fourth. Iswa, a two-time European Supercross champ and a two-time French Supercross champ, leading here on the Monster Energy Kawasaki. Filling in for the injured Jake Weimer. Iswa celebrating. He should be worrying about who's chasing him from behind.
Let's watch this replay here, Ralph. Watch the 7. He really puts the power to the ground. He drives it in here. Watch it outside as Iswa comes through. We got a host of other riders. Leslie and everybody at the top of your screen go flying through the tough blocks. And Stewart